John, I had to mute you because you had your stream on again. I'll let you do that. Nobody can hear you right now. I'll just let you fix it, and then I'll unmute you in just like 10 seconds. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Differently Wired Show, episode 14. Good to see you all again. My name, of course, is Max Derrat, your friendly neighborhood Simpsonskin. And joining me, as always, sitting to my left, immediate right, I don't know, wherever he is in cyberspace, he is John Tucker. John, how you doing?
Great, and I'm above you.
Okay. Well, I didn't. When did we settle on that?
I just decided.
Oh, I thought we were equals here, John. That's why I brought you on. I didn't think there was going to be any ego in this whole thing. I
Nah,
thought.
changed my mind.
I thought it used to be about the music, man. Okay. Anyways, welcome everybody to this episode. I just want to say hi to everybody that's here in the chat right now. Hello, Alina, Project Emerald, Devin, and Sohi, Tessio, Aim. I don't know how to pronounce that. What is that? Greek? Nah, I know it's not Greek. Give me a break. Anyways, just wanted to say hi to everybody. Good to see you joining us. We'll get more into the details of what we're doing with this particular show in just a second. But first, I just want to do the usual stuff. One, Facebook. If you haven't liked it, why not? Go and do it. There's a link to it right now in the description box. That's where you get all our updates if you want to send messages to us directly so you can converse with me or my warden, who's usually it's okay, she likes to be referred to as that, and we look after the Facebook group there and take care of messages from there. Also, in case you didn't already know this, we have a Discord server. Don't let what you see here be a representation of what the Discord server is right now. We're nearing 300 members. Thank you so much to everybody that's joined the server. It's a lovely community. Everybody's really, really nice. All the response that I've been getting from people tends to be generally very positive. So if you want to go there and intermingle with a whole bunch of like-minded folks that are differently wired and have a lot of really cool interests, and you know, if you're into games and movies and stuff like that, there are chat rooms for all that. Go there and have lots of fun. Now, speaking of Discord, what we decided to do for this particular episode is go to the Discord community and see if we could bring on a whole bunch of people for this particular episode, where instead of following the normal format where we'd stick to one particular topic, then go into the mailbag, then go into the call-in segment, what we're doing today instead is we're doing an all call-in segment show. So currently we have, let me see, we have 4 people on the hold right now. We're expecting 2 on the hold. On hold right now, we're expecting 2 other people to come later. Hopefully we can get them in here. They're just having a little bit of technical difficulty. Let me just bring back up the YouTube chat so everybody can have a nice conversation while we're talking to the lovely guests that we have. But before actually I unmute them, I just want to let you guys know that if you want to be a part of the call-in segment of the show, all you have to do is join the Discord server, and then when you get there, you'll see a text chat on the left-hand side of the Discord screen that says call-in sign up. Now, if you want to be on the call-in segment of the show, all you have to do is just put your name in that text chat, and then we'll go in order of those people who have signed up. Now, don't be discouraged from signing up, because thankfully we've been staying on top of people who want to come and talk to us, and people generally tend to be pretty happy. So yeah, please come on and talk to us. We love to hear from you guys. This is slowly becoming our favorite segment of the show to do. Anyways, first off, I'm going to unmute the guy who signed up first, and his name is Joel. Joel, how you doing?
All right. Had a very long day today.
Oh yeah, why's that?
Well, for some odd reason, my body decided to wake up at 2 a.m. this morning.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. So I kind of stayed awake until like 4:30, where that's when I wake up to get ready for work. Had a 8-hour shift, then afterwards had to go to the Secretary of State to renew my driver's license since I'm turning 21. Yeah.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, do you find that happening to you very often, just waking up in the middle of the night?
Uh, at times when I have a lot of stress, where I had to mail my taxes in today.
Yeah, it's that time of
Uh,
year.
yeah, so there's just a lot of stuff going on because my birthday is the 23rd. So I'm just getting constant messages from my family wanting to plan stuff out, and I'm just like, let me be alone right now.
Hmm. It's just a
Yeah.
whole bunch of crap just attacking you all at once. Yeah, I think everybody that's watching right now empathizes with that a lot, including myself. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, I especially when that sort of thing happens, I remember like just nightmares back when I was in high school of all these deadlines that were. Interestingly enough, I had more of these problems in high school rather than college. But anyways, yeah, I had all these problems just mounting up, and it wake me up in the middle of the night in a cold sweat. It's absolutely horrid. But look,
Yeah.
I hopefully, with what we're trying to do here, if you're struggling with this sort of stuff, there are people in the Discord community that can provide you some advice or some support. And hopefully that's what John and I can do for you right now. In regards to the stuff that you brought up, is there something that you sort of wanted to single on or focus on that we could talk about, or something completely unrelated?
Yeah. It's just uh like middle of last month I actually moved.
Okay.
So now I'm living on my own.
Congratulations, dude.
Yeah, thank you. So just at times I kind of catch myself where I grew up in a family of seven, so I'm used to having a lot of people around me. Where now that I'm just by myself, at certain times, like when it's late at night, I catch myself like getting into the mindset that can cause a depressant state.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Is it?
So right now, go ahead.
No, no, sorry. Go ahead, dude.
So right now, I'm just trying to figure out a good way to make sure I don't fall into depression.
Right. I just wanted to say very quickly that I understand being in that mindset. Going from a packed house with lots of people just yelling back and forth. I had a couple dogs a couple years ago when I first moved out, and being on my own, I was in that depressive state pretty intensely as well. So I understand what it's like to be there. What exactly do you think is bringing that depressive state on? Like, what sort of things are bugging you the most, I suppose? If you could single out, like, maybe one or two of them.
Uh, Probably like right now, I'm still trying to get used to my routine
Mm-hmm.
being on my own. So it could just be that like sudden change.
Mm.
I'd like to jump in for a moment here,
Yeah,
if I may.
please.
When you said routine, that was a key trigger for me
Yeah.
because that's how you can turn this around. But here's the trick: small changes in routine, small things, the way you make a tea or a coffee, or little things that you can nail down. Not big things. Big things take a lot of energy. Just little things, like you get up at a certain time as best you can. You do your whatever you do in the morning in a sort of a routine way. And as that happens, your body starts to get used to a certain pattern, and then you'll find less room for overwhelm and less room for uh, just drifting aimlessly. So you'll have certain things that, in a way, they start to become automatic.
All right.
Yeah. That's the big thing, obviously, that I think when it comes to people that have or that are on the spectrum and when they're moving out, the thing that maintains that level of stability and doesn't uh, and prevents that fall into a depressive state is that sticking to a routine. Because when you're constantly working and being productive, you don't really give your mind time to brood on those things that are causing you a lot of stress, right? And it's hard because, when you're on your own and you're responsible for yourself and nobody's around you, you have a lot more time freed up, and you got to make a concerted effort to make sure that you're making the best use of your time, not just in terms of being productive, but just in terms of keeping yourself emotionally stable, right? Do you feel like you're sort of on the track to maintaining that routine there, Joel? Or do you feel like you're like there are certain things that you'd like to talk about that we can sort of address so that we can sort of help you keep yourself on that path?
I feel like I'm staying more on the path. It's just right now that I'm at that weird point where I'm good, but just with everything going on in my life, all the built up stress that's happening with taxes, renewing license, and my birthday, it's kind of throwing me off.
Well, what I'll just suggest with those things that are sort of attacking your senses right now, just just tackle each one of them individually. And a natural element of having AS is the tendency to hyper focus on specific things, right? And if you try to take in all these things at once, like you are, it can obviously cause a lot of stress. The same thing happens to me, right? So once you get past that hurdle of the pain in the ass that is taxes, suddenly the other things that are bothering you will become a lot less of a stressor. And then eventually, hopefully, even though right now the constant hammering that your family or friends, I don't know who it is, that are bugging you about your birthday, hopefully that with all these other things that are past, you can actually look to your birthday as time for celebration. One thing I'll mention, because you said it's on the 23rd, right?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if you're into the Marvel movies, but maybe take advantage. Take advantage sounds bad, but you know what I mean. Maybe getting your family to set up a time for you all to go see Endgame. Are you is that something you're looking forward to? Avengers Endgame?
Well, me and my brother already made plans to go see it opening night.
Opening night. So is that Thursday or Friday?
That's Friday the 26th.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I tried to get tickets for the opening night, not the following day, but it's just all the sites were down. I think you know probably because you tried to get tickets when I did, right when they went on sale, so it was a pain in the ass. So just try to look forward to that and realize that, hey, all this is going to pass. What you told me and John right now seems very reassuring. You seem to be doing really, really well, considering you made this first big step in your life. So take solace in that. And hopefully, if you have any other troubles regarding maintaining a schedule or addressing these particular hangups that are coming up, that you'll come back and talk to us, right?
Right.
John, did you have anything else you wanted to say to Joel before we move on?
No, that's pretty good.
All right. Joel, is there anything else you wanted to say before we move on to our other callers?
Not really. Just have a great night, both of you.
All right. Thanks so much, dude. And before I let you go, I'm just help remind me, because obviously I deal with a lot of, again, deal sounds bad, but you know what I mean. I engage with a lot of people that watch the Differently Wired show and my videos. Were you didn't you say that you were planning on, oh wait, am I supposed to announce this out loud?
You can.
Proposing to your girlfriend?
Yeah, so one of my sisters is getting married in September, so she's coming over to visit and attend the wedding. So afterwards, I'm going to ask her the question.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
I called dibs on being the ring bearer. John is an ordained minister. I mean, not right now, but he will be. Anyways.
Well, maybe not. Maybe I can be flower girl or something.
Yeah, I'll have to bring it up with her.
Okay.
Good luck.
Yeah, good
Good
luck
luck.
with that. This random dude said vocally he wants to be the flower girl. Anyways, differently. There's a reason why the show is called Differently Wired, ladies and gentlemen. Before we let you go, Joel, I just wanted to say to everybody that's watching in the chat right now, just to wish Joel good luck in regards to his current living situation and in regards to proposing to his girlfriend. I'm sure that he'll appreciate all your positive words. Anyways, Joel, thanks so much. And feel free to come on any time in the future. Okay, dude?
All right.
All right. Thanks so much, dude. All right. He is muted. Let's move on to our next caller. And our next caller is known as Dave Barker. Dave, what's going on, dude?
Oh yeah, I had myself muted because it bugged out earlier. Anyway, I'm doing well.
Yeah. We had a nice conversation before we started the show a couple hours ago where we were you were talking about mathematics and some of the stuff that you were bringing up was really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm specifically interested in talking about ODD because I think the condition and things related to it don't get talked enough with autism.
Okay.
John, do you know anything about oppositional defiant disorder?
Yeah, it's one of those labels that's characterized in the Diagnostic Statistical Manual 5. And there are several sorts of, what can I call them? Several different characteristics that have to do with compulsiveness or opposition and so on. But there's often a situational component. If you're differently wired, regardless of whatever the wiring happens to be, the world tends to be an unfriendly place. So you end up having to resist. If you're a 12-year-old boy and a teacher is screaming at you and your parents want you to do your homework, you may not necessarily start out as oppositionally defiant, but if it happens enough, you will become it. In extreme cases, people might automatically be it, but almost all the differently wired folks pushed around or prodded enough can develop symptoms.
I'm more on the what did you call it? Wired to be that way.
Okay, so you figure you started out with that characteristic.
Yeah, I will fight to the death over the most inane things if the person trying to make me do something engages with me in the wrong way about it. But there's no hill I won't die on if I feel abused enough by the way they try and make me do it.
Now, do you, after some of these episodes, regret what has happened and say, I wish it had been differently?
Often, no.
So when you say there's no hill you won't die on, you're quite satisfied most of the time that what you did was exactly right for you?
I'd say that's probably the case. In the sense that I wouldn't say that I wouldn't. I'd still hold it against the person the way they did it, and I'd often have to be actively convinced that I was actually in the wrong.
Well, that's not unusual for people with Asperger's who want to be precisely correct and get it just right. That's kind of an attention to detail that's I've seen quite often. And if what is it you would like to change?
Well, so one thing is where these episodes are more like it's more likely to happen if I've had less social interaction for a longer period.
Okay.
So if I've like a school break, the first day that on the first time a teacher decides that no, they need to make me know that I need to do it their way, even if I don't like it, because that's just how it works. I will have a meltdown pretty much, and like it's not sensory based. It's based on my perception of the social interaction,
Okay.
dominance-wise, I think.
Okay, so it still makes me wonder, what do you want to do differently? Is this meltdown a problem for you? Is it a problem outside that goes beyond?
Yeah, it goes to pretty much any interaction where I believe someone else has the power to, if they decide that they don't like me, they can do something bad to me.
Okay, well, I have a suggestion for you. I'm going to assume that what you thought of when you responded in that way is correct. And I'm going to suggest that all you really need to do is learn language that gives you time to pause. Now, there is a
Could I
book
be
called...
more specific in the kind of interaction I mean?
Yeah.
Because, like, so for one example of something would be when I'm in a class and I'm deciding that I'm having a conversation with another student, and the teacher gets mad at me for talking over them, and the teacher is unnecessarily vindictive about me doing the wrong thing. I and then like halting the class just to try and as a way to manipulate me into doing what they want.
Oh,
So
yeah.
yeah, so that kind of thing. Even if whatever I did that they wanted me to change was incredibly minor, or even I think it was wrong what I was doing, I will still think what my reaction was right based on their reaction to what I did.
Okay, my suggestion is you were right. All you need is language that doesn't escalate the conflict.
Well, often it's a question of me not saying anything to avoid escalating it, and that actually makes the meltdown worse.
That's
I'll
why I
have it
think
where
that's why I think you need language that makes your point quietly and firmly and clearly and non-violently, so you don't have to wear it inside.
I feel that.
Sorry, can I just jump? Yeah, I just wanted to say, dude, what we're trying to do here is we're not trying to invalidate the indignance that you feel towards the situation
I'm just trying to have you understand exactly what kind of situation I'm meaning, because it seems like something people don't really know much about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we obviously sympathize with it. And what we want to try and do is figure out a path forward so that way we can try and get across, like, try and figure out a way where you can be assertive and make people realize sort of the pain that they're causing you, but also figure out a way that we can diffuse the situation so that it doesn't cause you to melt down. So we're trying to figure out sort of a balance between that. And what John is trying to say here is maybe what we can sort of do is figure out a linguistic way that we can approach situations like these where you can get your point across thoroughly and people can respect you. And
give one more example real quick.
Please.
More concise. So the major thing is stuff like the silent treatment, where I don't view there is a logical talk through method to get to any compromise, let alone something in my favor. So the level of emotional distraught builds up incredibly fast because it all doesn't work because the person has decided, no, it's my way or violence. So it puts my brain into, I'm about to get attacked physically in a real way, and that's how my brain reacts chemistry-wise. Like, my muscles don't work. I'm really, it's hard to put into words, but I think it kind of understands, right?
Yeah, it's instinctual. Yeah, it's like because you on an instinctual, unconscious level, you feel attacked. What you're sort of reverting to is this natural tendency to fight back in any way that you can. Yeah, I totally understand that. What I think might be a good initial step to take. Well, first, let me just ask, like, when you these situations that you're describing, is there a specific type of person that's doing it? Like you gave one example of a teacher doing this. Do you
I'd
find
say often it's worse when it's the worst when it's women.
Sure. I said that so nonchalantly. Sorry. Anyways, but yeah, I understand that. Look, one way. Sorry, go ahead, John. I know you want to say something.
Yeah, I was going to say, Dave, let me get this out, and then you can comment on it as you wish. I recommend you look at the work of the late Marshall Rosenberg called Nonviolent Communication, because it does give you ways of getting out what you need to say before your amygdala takes over and freezes you up or makes you feel badly. Do you understand what I said?
Yeah,
Nonviolent communication is the name of
I
the
have
book.
that problem where I generally do want to avoid escalation. I'm trying to think of words that I can use to
As I say,
de-escalate things, but
you
my
could
brain's
actually
shut down, my body's shut down, and
you could actually look up videos if you don't want to buy the book. But this chap, Marshall Rosenberg, the late Marshall Rosenberg, came up with a way for people to talk to one another in a civil and gracious way and get their point absolutely across without the freezing. So it's not a bad resource.
Mm.
Yeah.
For what you're talking about.
At the moment, my solution is really just staying at home. I had to move out from my parents' home because of having violent confrontations with my father, me being violent towards him because of my autism and how I strongly react to how he behaves when he's drunk, because he acts stupidly. He's not doing something that you might think would be horrible towards me, but to me, it's over time it wears me down in a very extreme way. So I live on my own in a flat, and I don't go to school, and I just stay at home every day, all day. I do things like writing and thinking about world building for a world I'm working on. So I'm doing stuff I'm interested in, and
Sure. So what what you're describing to us right now is a multivariate issue that you're dealing with. What I think we'll just leave you with, Dave, right now before we move on is just with what John suggested. John, what I'm going to get you to do.
We'll send a link in the chat.
Yeah, we'll send a link to you in the chat. But before we do that, I just wanted to recommend, like, if you sort of want to get started on this sort of thing and you can't, like, get the book right away or something, just try to, next time you do these types of interactions, make it your goal to do everything that you can to not feed into the mania of these types of confrontations, right? Just focus on trying not to escalate violent behavior or a loud voice or anything that might be that type of offensive, right? And just focus on that. Yeah. Just focus on that.
I'm emotionally energetic sometimes, so that can get flipped from positive to negative, which can make things worse faster from a small thing.
Right. Yeah. So just what I would recommend is just focus on something small like that, and then as time goes on, just try to build your expertise by trying to train yourself in the art of nonviolent communication. And obviously, like, if you feel like coming back on and talking about this and working through your issues, please do at any time, dude. We really appreciate your time and you taking time out of your day to talk to us. And hopefully we've been of help to you somewhat. And yeah. By the way, a couple of people are wondering, Hallo Brine even asked, why did I refer to you as JC Denton instead of Dave Barker?
My profile image.
Yeah, you guys probably can't see this because we don't have Discord up, but in the Discord chat, Dave Barker has an avatar of JC Denton, and JC Denton is the protagonist from a video game called Deus Ex.
Yeah. So. Deus Ex is a really good game.
Yeah, it's really good. A lot of people gave me crap when I did my Metal Gear video called The Most Profound Moment in Gaming. They're like, no, it's Deus Ex that's the most profound moment in gaming, Max. Duh. Anyways, so yeah, you'll come on again, right, Dave?
Yeah.
All right, awesome, dude.
Especially if there's an episode on ODD.
Oh yeah, well,
or dealing with authority. Yeah.
Well, I'm certain that we'll make it, especially dealing with authority. That's something that has plagued me a lot during my life. So we'll definitely discuss that. Anyways, thank you so much, Dave. We'll definitely have you on again. I'm just going to have to meet you now and move on to the next guy. So, sorry, I think he was trying to say something. What were you trying to say something there, Dave?
I was just saying bye because I'm getting muted now, so it's the end of me talking.
All right. See you later, dude. All right. Sorry about that, guys. This is sort of a new thing for me, managing a whole bunch of people at once. All right. Next up, we have Walui Jeebs, although he prefers to be referred to as Jeebs. Jeebs, how's it going, dude?
Pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm doing pretty chill.
Yeah.
I wanted to comment real quick.
Yeah.
Since they're still in the voice, best wishes, Joel, with the proposal.
That's right. We're all praying
Yeah.
for you, dude. You wifed that up. Anyways, go ahead.
Yeah. Anyways, I have a very specific topic I just wanted to immediately get into. If that
Please.
isn't.
Yeah. Please.
I have cerebral palsy
Right.
and AS. And what happens with those two, and this seems to be the case for most anyone that has anything where their body malfunctions or isn't working properly, that really does feed into overstimulation. And the second your body malfunctions even slightly, like if you can't grab something or you can't say you want to crush something like a plastic bottle because it saves space in the garbage can, you do that and you can't quite. You just get so frustrated at yourself, and that causes, internal turmoil. And that can cause like a fit of rage or something like that, or just like a shutdown emotionally and an overload, in my experience. And it's something that I don't see often talked about, is how Asperger's relates to other things like cerebral palsy and such.
That's got to be like a really deadly combo, because when you have AS, you already have enough problems with sensory issues, but to pile on top of that cerebral palsy, it's almost like your rational functions completely dissipate and your body just becomes completely separated from your brain, right? Because it's just, you have all these negative emotions that while up inside of you that you completely lose control, and it's like a different personality comes out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's the best way I can describe it is, imagine if you're, say to anyone who drives a vehicle and they're on ice and the vehicle just swerves and you get into that instant panic state. That is what it's like to have have AS and cerebral palsy. Because if it specifically just rolls into itself a lot, it just really gets out of it, and I just need to like walk away for like a really long time and listen to some, some Tool or Metallica.
Ooh, good call. Quick question. Well, if you can recall, and if you wanted to disclose this, what was the most recent example of something like this happening, and what sort of brought it on?
That would be actually very recently. I never learned how to whistle, but cerebral palsy makes that extremely hard. Because, no muscle control in the mouth sometimes. And I sort of I got so mad at myself at one point. We'll try to practice it last night even. That's the last time it happened. I just had to calm down, listen to some music. Like, it was really stressful. It's odd to explain how basic something can get under your skin. Like, you get angry at, I know this from people who just have cerebral palsy. You get angry at yourself because your body just doesn't work correctly. Yeah. And pile that on with AS. They just do. It's a really bad mix.
Wow. This is. I'm sort of speechless, just trying to empathize with your situation, and
I've taken anger management and things like that. It's the primary. I've taken some stuff up, and I'm honestly when those two things aren't working with each other, I don't mean to toot my own horn or anything. I really don't like tooting my own horn or saying, but I do but I'm often described as someone with a patience of a saint. someone who's very calm and collected, and that is because I've had to go through the trials and tribulations of AS plus cerebral palsy. Thank God they're both very, very mild.
I gotta really congratulate you on that, dude, because that right there demonstrates that you have a certain level of character that very few people will be able to reach in their lifetime. It's because of those two conflicting states that you involuntarily have had to sort of confront a certain level of adversity that most people would never have to deal with in their lifetime. And with that, you've been able to find something positive in that adversity and turn it into a real virtue. Obviously, my situation doesn't compare to what you're doing, but I find it interesting that when it comes to people that have AS, a lot of our stories really, really coincide and share a lot of similar patterns. And one that's certainly true for me, as it is for you and a lot of people that have AS, is that by dealing with these issues, we actually do seem like we have a lot of patience, that we seem to be really calm, unless, something sets us off and then we turn into the Incredible Hulk, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's something that people tend to note in a lot of us, and it's something that we really need to start respecting ourselves for, taking pride in. And I don't mean like the sinful type of pride, but you know what I mean. Just because it's very, very easy to become resentful when you have these sorts of things. But I found that when I've discussed issues like this and the ones that you're discussing with me, and having people validate those experiences and sort of the awe that some people express at people like us and what we've gone through, there's a lot of sustenance that comes from that. You know what I mean? Yeah. So
Yeah.
I basically, I guess what I'm just trying to say is kudos to you, dude. That's awesome.
It's a struggle, but it's worth it. I definitely do agree, because I wouldn't have the appreciation for the moments of calm that I do, and I sometimes slip into a depressive state, and then I remember how grateful I am that I'm not in the state that would normally be, AS plus, in that ball of rage I can go into. And then I just appreciate life more. It helps me appreciate life, which I'm glad for.
That's so cool, dude.
Yeah.
Quick question. How old are you?
I don't want to say.
Oh, okay. No problem. No problem.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, I just...
I will say I'm an adult.
Yeah. I just I ask that because oftentimes I discuss these types of issues with a lot of people that tend to be very young, and it's really incredible that people that are that young can come to that point of enlightenment, sometimes decades before people that are neurotypical do. So
I personally, well, if you want to know that, it was about at 12 when I had to get a hold of it, and I've been the same since. And I've had the same appreciation.
Good.
Yeah,
I'm glad, dude. Sorry, John. I feel like we've sort of taken the microphone away from you for the last 10 minutes. Did you have anything to say?
Just a couple of words before you turn it over to your next guest. It's interesting to me and ironic, Jeebs, that you would whistle and struggle with whistling when there may be actually some instrument, some way you can engage with music that's less frustrating. That's interesting to me. Another question I had was around your maximizing the time with people who are the opposite of toxic, people who make you feel good, people who kind of get what you're going through and appreciate your quality and your insight. But then as you were last talking, I realized that the insights that you have are pointing toward a career where you share this characteristic, you share this knowledge, you share this ability with others who may be struggling with managing what they're facing.
Absolutely.
And I would like to just quickly say the reason I want to do whistling is because I could learn an instrument, but I want to go through whistling because it's hard for me. And that is why. I want to overcome adversity and to sort of overcome my hardships and to sort of prove to myself that I can do things that I have a natural disadvantage for.
Well, that's very, very good. Very good for you.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Is it-
And I definitely have considered things like I have strongly considered wanting to be something. I really do like the idea of looking at career paths and thoughts like that. I do really like the idea of a counselor or something along those lines.
Yeah. Yeah, I can hear it.
Yeah, because if you dealt with things like what you've described to us, you know, being able to help the average person with the tribulations of daily life, helping them manage that, seeing as you've been doing it your whole life, you're kind of a natural expert with it. So maybe it's something that you want to look into.
Yeah.
One thing I just wanted to ask, like whistling, it'd be kind of hard to whistle Tool, isn't it?
And don't worry. All you do is you whistle extremely fast with irregular beats, and and then you just lose your mind and
Yeah.
trip some acid.
And then you
Don't do acid.
try to whistle lateralis, and then you literally spiral out of the control, exactly like Maynard describes it in the song.
Yeah.
Because that song is it's like constructed along the lines of the Fibonacci sequence, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I believe so.
Guys, please, if you're watching this live or if you're watching the pre-recorded version afterwards, do yourself a favor and listen to the song Lateralis. It's spelled Lateralus, all one word, by Tool. It's one of the greatest compositions ever in the history of rock music, and the way it's constructed is really mind-blowing. You can look up videos of this on YouTube about how Tool went about constructing that song and how they made the time signatures in that song and the number of notes played and the words spoken, how it lines up with the Fibonacci sequence.
I would like to say, and if you like that song, get excited because they're finally releasing a new album May or July.
Yes. World tour, baby. I can finally go and see Tool live. Oh, I'm so excited.
Me too.
Yeah, it's one of those bands that's on my bucket list. Finally, actually in a couple of weeks, I'm going to see Alice in Chains, which is one of the bands that I've wanted to see forever. And then aside from that, I think it's just Tool and Def Leppard, which is kind of a weird combination. But hey,
nice.
It's
a good combo.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you. Because some people, especially in my immediate circle of friends, tend to think that Def Leppard sucks.
Listen, I listen to reggae, vaporwave, metal.
Nice. Good. I'm glad that you're open-minded to this sort of thing. Same for me, except country. Country can go to hell. Sorry, John, if you're in the country.
I will DM you all the good country music. There is a lot of bad current country.
Yes, there is. Anyways, thanks so much. Thanks so much.
Can I say one thing before
Yes. Yep.
Everyone, please join the server. I do a lot of work on the emotes. Thank you.
Oh, yes, dude. Thank you so much, guys. Jeebs, he made some emotes of me for the server, and they're awesome. Thanks so much for that, dude. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Okay. Anyways, thanks for coming on, Waluigi, and Waluigi, and hopefully you'll come on again. We have about 15 minutes left in the show. Hopefully we can get Dear Boy or Lemon Man on before we conclude. But at the moment, we have our final guest that is logged on to us on the call right now, and he goes by the name, is it Hallo Brine or Hallo Brine?
It is Hallo Brine.
Okay, thank you very much. How's it going, dude?
I'm doing well. I guess the first thing I should say is I apologize for the technical difficulties that I had. I think it was 2 weeks ago.
Oh, it's okay, dude.
And then I guess about the Discord, yeah, it's a good place. I guess a lot of people with AS will say that it's like you belong on another planet. Or you said that in your video about Drax.
Yeah.
And at least for me, Discord, a lot of Discord servers, but this one in particular is sort of a virtual planet like that.
You really? I'm so glad to hear that, dude.
It's the planet you think it's. I mean, I'm not gonna say it's better than Earth, but you do sort of fit in a little better when everyone is the same kind of outlier.
Yeah, it's You know what? That's actually interesting. The notion that once you create a haven where pretty much everybody is sort of thinks the same as you do, has the same psychological makeup, everything seems to like you can breathe easy. It's like you almost feel on the inside what it must be like for neurotypicals to feel every day, right? Where you don't feel alienated, where you feel right at home. That's actually something I never really considered until you mentioned it. That we actually have a planet of our own, separate from the real one. And in the spirit of that, you know what? I think I just got an idea. We don't have a name for this planet or this server. At the moment, I think it'd be most appropriate to refer to it as Springfield. So, what do you think about that? Hallo Brine, John?
Oh.
Please tell me you get the reference.
Oh no, I get the reference.
Okay.
But there's a lot of different Springfields in the real world. I mean,
Yeah. Springfield, USA. You can find me, Homer J. Simpson. Hopefully there'll be an incentive for people to come and join because he's there. You can make fun of him.
that was a good impression.
Oh, thanks, dude. Yeah. Anyways, Hallo Brine, I know you brought up a really interesting topic in the Discord. I think it was yesterday or the day before. Can you please just introduce it for everybody?
Yes, right. So I while browsing Twitter, I stumbled into a tweet from William Shatner. Well, if you don't know who he is, then you haven't seen Star Trek, and you need to go look at the original series now.
And you live under a rock.
Yeah.
I am Will Shatner. I was in Star Trek. Yeah, sorry, go ahead. That was a bad impression. That contrasting to my decent impression. Go ahead.
Right. So he was in a sort of he was trying to figure out the politically correct way on how to refer to people with autism, and so he had two different sides to it, and one of them was a person saying, don't call me an autistic because it doesn't define who I am. And the other said, no, it's fine to call us autistic because that is a characteristic that we all share. That's an identifier. But the way I see it is calling someone an autistic versus just calling them autistic are sort of two different things. Because you call someone an autistic, that's sort of saying that's your primary definitional feature. Mm-hmm. But when you call if I just said that I am autistic, then that means among many other things, autism is one of the things that I have, and it's one of the things that describes me. And it's a very subtle distinction if you just look at the words. Mm. But I think it does matter.
Yeah, I have some unique thoughts on this compared to most people that have engaged with this debate. I actually had a discussion with my sister about this before we started. You know, she's training to become a social worker, and she's dealt with this issue herself, and we had a long conversation about it. But before I get into my thoughts, I feel like John should take the reins because we sort of took him away from the last call. John, do you have any thoughts on this issue? Autism, autistic, how to refer to people?
I certainly understand Hallo Brine's point of view. If the term is used to define this characteristic as your chief characteristic, and this is how you present to the world, this is you, this defines you, you forget that you're 14 feet tall, that you're a boy, that you like playing chess or games or whatever. If that becomes the dominant thing, so I certainly appreciate that point of view. But Max, I'd be most interested in hearing your unique point of view.
Right. So here's the thing. I understand the power of words, and how sometimes people can say certain things and people get the wrong impression. So, for example, let's say you're a kid, and any parent that has a kid, the kid always drives the parent crazy. There's no exception. It's just the way it is when it comes to parenthood, right? But sometimes the parent might just be so overwhelmed by something that their kid is doing. They might be like, "Ugh, you drive me crazy," right? And in saying that, the kid can take that one or two or other many ways, right? They can just take it as in a really blasé way, or they can take it as a personal insult. Like, they can read into them saying that they drive them crazy, that it's like, oh, well, I must be like an absolute terror. Maybe it'd be better if I wasn't around, right? Like, I don't know how I can change my behavior, right? Or it can become a real bad misreading of them saying something that might be otherwise innocuous in another circumstance, right? So it's sort of the same when it comes to the way that you use certain words when describing people's mental states, right? But here's so in respect to that, I would say that it's important to be conscious of the way that your words might come off, which is really, really hard, especially if you have AS. It takes a lot of practice, and maybe sometimes even with that practice, people aren't able to overcome the boundary between the words that they say and the meaning, right? But it's important to be conscious of it nonetheless. Now, having said that, what I've noticed is that when it comes to people that use the term autistic or having autism or however they refer to themselves or other people, it's all about intent, right? Oftentimes, you were just saying, like, saying that somebody's autistic, it seems to describe them as like that's the most important thing about them, right? Whereas having autism is just one of many things, right? Is that sort of like the general thing that you're getting at here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay. So what I would say is that what I noticed is that the people that I've noticed use the term autistic as a descriptor tend to be people that actually have autism, and they're using it to describe themselves. And whether that's right or wrong is up for the debate. But what I seem to notice is that the reason why they're using it is because it just seems to be accurate in their minds. They're not thinking about how it might be derogatory whatsoever, or how it might insult themselves, or how it might make other people with autism feel. It's just the way they describe themselves, right? But it's all about that intent. Like another example, I was just told this at a family member of mine who has a child that has Down syndrome. She refers to her child as having Downs. Now, I didn't know that having Downs is a derogatory way of referring to somebody who has Down syndrome, and neither did the mother who has a child that has Down syndrome, right? So I think there's a certain balance that needs to be taken between, consciously modifying one's language, but there also needs to be sort of a recognition on the other part of who might be feeling offended that, hey, maybe their intention wasn't to offend people that have a certain mental predisposition, right? So, like, even when I hear people, because this happens enough on the internet, refer to something as autistic in the sense that, oh, that's stupid. You know how some people might use the R word to refer to something as stupid. Oftentimes, even though it's rude and, you generally shouldn't do it in normal conversation, when they say that, they don't have any animus towards people that have autism, right? So anyways, just to conclude my long diatribe on this, there sort of needs to be an interplay between people in terms of modifying their language to be more decent, to be aware of how their words might come off. But also, I don't think that people should be as ready to take offense. I think they need to give more people the benefit of the doubt and say, like, hey, you said this. Do you feel like this particular animus towards this particular group? And if they say no, then you can work beyond that, and that way you can sort of minimize any future offense or any destructive situations. I sort of stumbled over my words there a little bit. Did that make sense to you, Hallo Brine and John?
Yeah, actually, I'd like to take up that last point for just a
Sure.
last second.
Please.
You're sharing the responsibility of communication in a nice way. So you're saying if a person is inclined to feel offended, get clarity on this, and it may be, it may be that offense, pardon me, was not intended. The other thing is, when you're talking to people, you have a right to be referred to how you like to be referred to. If your name is Aloysius, you might prefer to be called Aloysius, or you might prefer Al. You just say, my name is this is how I like to be, and then they have a responsibility for addressing you in a reasonable way. So you have some responsibility, especially in personal community. Twitter, I don't, Twitter is a crazy place. But from, person to person, I think you have a right to be treated with respect and asked to be called or referred to the way you like to be referred to.
Yeah, I guess there's sort of a bit of an issue when, I guess, when it's just person to person. It's sort of, in a sense, it almost doesn't matter what everyone else thinks as long as you're both speaking the same language to each other.
Sure.
And that's sort of made one of the things you said, Max, about your conversation with someone's mother, that neither you nor the mother realize that saying someone has Downs is an offensive term.
Mhm.
Well, if no one else was there to hear it and it wasn't meant that way and it wasn't heard that way, then kind of seems, I don't think there should really be any kind of regret towards that, because there wasn't really any third party to listen to that and hear it differently.
Right, absolutely. I think we can all agree that when it comes to polite conversation, especially when it comes to people that we're just getting newly acquainted with, or even if you're around people that might have certain mental predispositions, just to avoid any potential slang or potentially offensive terms, generally speaking, right? Because it's just the way that you put yourself, the best version of yourself forward, right? That goes for anything. It doesn't matter if it's these types of terms or even if you're saying swear words, right? I think that's something we can all agree on, even those who are staunchly anti-politically correct, right? But yeah, when it comes to the notion of intent, it's something that we all have to embrace and not be so quick to chastise people if they make a mistake, especially if you do it on Twitter, which people are so want to do on that particular platform, which is why I rarely use it anymore, except for when I'm trying to promote my own stuff. Right? So, anyways, did we sort of address your question succinctly, dude?
Yeah, I guess to sort of bring it back to the William Shatner's tweet, that I guess sort of the issue when you're trying to address a larger group of people in a more generalized way, they're probably gonna get a few people who don't like the term you use. So
I
that's
think that's right.
Yeah.
so it's kind of hard in an age where political correctness is like, I mean, there's to some extent there's political correctness is just being kind, but there's like almost a certain level of perfection that society expects you to be perfectly 100% politically correct all the time, and in instances where a group of people doesn't even agree amongst itself what it wants to be called, that's really not possible.
I think you're describing entire political groups right now. Do you want to name names? No, I'm kidding. Don't do that. We don't want to get in trouble. But yeah, I know
I'd be
what you mean.
sitting here for hours.
Yeah, exactly. Let's go through all the political groups on the planet. Yeah, that's an entire show, and that's a very controversial show. We'll hopefully never go there. But anyways, it's an important discussion what you brought up, dude, and I thank you for bringing it to our attention. Anyways, did you have anything that you wanted to say before we sort of close off the show?
Yeah, I guess look up the news about the image of a black hole if you didn't hear about that yet, but you've probably also been living under a rock if you didn't hear about that, because that's been everywhere.
Yeah, just do yourselves a favor, guys. Hallo Brine just brought up something that happened in the news today. Go to Google and type in Sauron, Sauron, because literally what these people have these scientists have discovered by pointing a whole bunch of satellites in one direction is the first actual image of a black hole. Actually, yeah, Dave Barker just brought it up. I'm gonna try and bring it up on stream right now so everybody can see it, if you'll just give me a second. Yeah, it was kind of interesting because the picture of the black hole, it literally looks like the eye of Sauron from Lord of the Rings. It's kind of creepy. Anyways, here it is. Hopefully you guys can see it on screen right now. I'm just going to enlarge it. John, did you see this?
No, I'm seeing it now.
Yeah,
That's our next guest, right?
That's yeah. We're going to places like was it actually Kirk that said this? We're going to places that no, we're going to places never thought possible. Is that something from Star Trek? Come on, help me out here.
To boldly go where no one has gone before.
Yes, but yeah, they've gone into a black hole on Star Trek, right?
Probably. I haven't seen every episode, but
I haven't seen a episode, or an episode rather. It sounds like something that they would do. It's one of those great mysteries of life that nobody has an answer to, and some of the interpretations of what's inside of a black hole are quite fascinating. My favorite is the one that Christopher Nolan gave in Interstellar, which is quite mind-bending. You guys should go watch it.
Yeah. That was when Interstellar left science and entered full-on science fiction.
Yeah, science fiction fantasy, maybe. We don't know, because we've never been inside a black hole. But that will be on next week's episode. Yeah, hopefully. Because, yeah. Anyways, thanks so much for bringing that topic to our attention and for reminding us about this awesome scientific discovery. This is the first time that an actual picture has been taken of a black hole and not just a mere illustration.
Yeah,
it's quite
two
profound.
actually. There's two black holes. There's the one in the center of our galaxy, the Milky Way, that's like Sagittarius A or something, and then there's another black hole in a different galaxy that it's like, even though the size of the black hole is about the size of our solar system, my physics professor told me that its apparent size in the night sky is comparable to the size of a golf ball on the moon.
Wow.
So, yeah, you look at all the technology that it took to get that image, multiple telescopes, multiple really powerful telescopes networked together, combining all the data, lots of analysis, the latest state-of-the-art everything that they could muster to see something the size of a golf ball on the moon. And the thing most people have to say is, why is it so blurry?
Because unfortunately our technology isn't there yet. Hopefully one day it will be, where we can get a clear picture of something this beautiful. One thing I can guarantee, though, about just the monumental success of making a picture of something like this, I can guarantee you that there are some people that were definitely wired that worked on something like this. Because the fact of the matter is, people that are differently wired tend to set standards when it comes to science and mathematics. And I'm pretty sure,
Absolutely.
Yeah, that I would not be surprised if they had some hand in doing this. One thing I completely forgot. Also today, apparently somebody discovered a fossil on the ocean floor that they dubbed Cthulhu. And if any of you know anything about H.P. Lovecraft's work, you should know, or about Cthulhu, you should know exactly what this fossil looks like. Just type in CTH. How do you spell Cthulhu? CTHU.
CTHULHU.
There you go. CTHULHU. Type that into Google, and then you'll see this picture of what apparently somebody discovered on the ocean floor, an illustration of it, and what life existed however millions of years ago, and it will freak you out, because who knows, that sort of thing might still exist. Anyways, thank you so much for that, Hallo Brine. We got to wrap things up, and thank you to everybody that appeared on the show. I'm just going to mute you right now, Hallo Brine, Joel, Dave Barker, and Jeebs. Unfortunately, we weren't able to get Lemon Man or Dear Boy on the show. Hopefully, we can get you on next week. We'll put you at the front of the line. Before we conclude, I just got to do the usual stuff. Let me get this picture of the black hole off of my screen before it makes me paranoid. Anyways, I just got to remind you guys that next week we will be bringing back the usual mailbag. If you want to have a topic discussed on this show that is of personal interest to you, or of relevance to something that we've discussed in the past, make sure you email it to us using the email that you see on screen, which is maxderrat@yahoo.ca. Or if you want to submit a live question to be submitted on Twitter, like 10 minutes before we actually see it, and then we discuss it live on air, just use the hashtag that you see on screen right now, all one word, #differentlywired. Or if you want to ensure that your comment is seen and read live on air, just use the super chat function. You don't have to do that now. I mean, just obviously because we're heading towards the end of the show. And also, I just want to remind you guys, if you want to support the show or this channel, there are a couple ways that you can do it. You can do it financially. You can do it by using the PayPal link that you see in the description box below. We got a couple of donations this past week. One of them is from a guy on our Discord server. I won't say... I mean, like, I could say who he is. I'll probably announce it next week if he gives me permission. He made a very generous donation along with another gentleman who preferred to remain anonymous. Thank you so much for those guys. It really, really, really helps us out, and we do put it all back towards making this show possible. Although I understand not everybody has financial means. So if you really want to support this channel, if you believe in what this show is all about, just take this video or take one of the pre-recorded videos or anything in regards to autism on my channel and just share it. Just share it on Twitter, share it on Facebook, any means of social media that you use. It helps us out more than you know. I've already described to you guys how doing that has helped this channel immensely over the past few months. It's gained us tens of thousands of subscribers, and we tend to follow that upwards trajectory for a long time into the near future. And into the far future as well. To conclude, I just want to thank John, as always, for doing the show with me. Always a great help. And thanks again to the people that called in to talk to us. And until we do this again next Wednesday, just want to remind you, stay yellow.